like Thanksgiving. You know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. So, what the composition is running. Reinhardt? Zarya? Reaper? I thought he runs Junkrat.
사용했던 조합 중에 하나예요.
자, 중국의 강팀이 또 사용했던 전략이니까 벤치마킹 해볼 필요가.
Okay, that's on defense. So what they're running, and how this is an anti-dive comp. Reinhardt, Zarya. First of all, can't essentially D-matrix it. Right? It's I don't want to say it's confirmed damage, but it's pretty much confirmed damage. It's very highly confirmed, right? Reinhardt goes through shields, goes through defensive matrix, so if something attacks him or jumps on you, if someone dives on you, you can just hit him around. You can just smack him around. The Zarya doesn't get defense matrixed. She can also provide support to whoever gets jumped on. Then we have the Reaper. Reaper's pretty easy, right? He fucks shit up. You dive on Reaper, he's gonna kill you. If you try to defensive matrix the Reaper, then the Zarya and Reinhardt come through, right? So the Reaper is there to apply pressure to force one less person to attack. And remember, dive comp relies on snowballing. It relies on this first jump being incredibly important, getting a kill. Along with them, so essentially you have to defensive matrix to survive. That takes one out of the equation. So now you have 3 heroes attacking. McCree. What is McCree good with? Flashbang. As long as your defensive as long as the McCree doesn't flashbang the D.Va, or it gets eaten by the D.Va's defensive matrix, you can stop a flanker in their tracks. If you're really good with it and you can get the D.Va or the Winston stunned, you can just burst him down. That 1 second that they're stunned, Reaper and McCree, they're going to tear you the fuck up. As for Lucio Ana, I honestly think most supports would fill the role, but I think Lucio Ana is actually quite important actually in this comp. And the reason for that is, we discussed this earlier with dive comp. What does dive comp seek to do? It seeks to burst one character out completely. Just destroy them. Ana, best burst healer in the game. She can actually deal with the type of damage that's coming out, as long as you jump on a tank. If you jump on someone squishier, well, there's Zarya shield to back them up, and then they kind of get burst healed. Or they can disengage a little bit. The 200 hit point classes can disengage a little bit. Buy the tanks time for them to attack the other tanks, and then come back into the fight. So let's actually see how this goes. Oh, wrong one.
그렇죠. 특히 예능 아니에요. 솔더 트레이서를 상대하기에 굉장히 괜찮다라는 얘기가 중국 쪽에서 들려오고 있기 때문에 딱 콩동 씨가 꺼내던 전략이 솔더 트레이서예요.
자, 준바 선수 체력이 별로 없지만 힐을 잘해주고 있는 류재홍 선수.
Let's do this quality so we stop getting that. So, charge. Charge is really good if you can land it. It is a high risk, high reward deal. But if you can land it, and I've seen some good Reinhardts. I've seen some Reinhardts catch a double jumping Genji in midair with a charge. This is the whole thing. It's a difficult matchup. It's a difficult thing to pull off, which means what? It means skill. It means if you're good enough, you can pull it off. So we see a lot of damage coming out, and then they just push on point. Reaper hiding behind the shield, and with essentially just pure damage because of the picks. The pure damage of their comp is incredibly terrifying. If you see a Reaper behind a Reinhardt shield, and here, see, Reaper forces defensive matrix up, Zarya gets free shots on her. There it is. There's the dive on top. The Winston can't sit in all this. He just can't. So, again, we saw Reaper force the defensive matrix out. And now the defensive matrix is essentially being all used up, and they can't do shit about it. So, we've talked about this a couple times. I've talked about keeping pressure, right? And I say, like, you don't want a lot of space, you want some space, but, you know, it's good to be right here on someone. Why? Because whatever they do, it keeps them honest. They can't do what they want because you're applying pressure. They can't be tricky. They can't do, like, leave you alone. They have to deal with you because you're right there in front of them applying direct pressure. This applies to tanks, right? Like, if you want to keep a tank busy, just sit there in front of him with your gun. He kind of has to play defensive, right? That's his job. It's to hold this ground. The pressure on the D.Va forces defensive matrix up. And essentially, with a long-lasting comp, Reinhardt, Zarya, if they can't get bursted down, they're going to outlast the defensive matrix, right? That's one of their few forms of damage mitigation. The other form is Winston Bubble, which at 600 hit points, if 2 or 3 people are hitting it, it's going to get destroyed quickly. And what do they got? McCree, Reaper. They can pop the bubble very, very quickly. Probably like 2 to 3 shots each, and it's gone. But 2 shots for McCree, he shoots at point. McCree is 0.5 seconds because Junkrat's 0.6. Reaper, I think. I want to say it's a little bit less than a second. It'd be 140. Yeah, I mean, they can get it down in like 3-4 shots each. It's very quick. It's probably a couple seconds. But yes, so they keep pressure on the D.Va. They keep pressure on the tanks. Force the tanks to they can't use their mobility, right? If they dive anywhere, they're going to get blown up. So they kind of have to stick with their team. But dive really sucks kind of sticking with your team because they have to expend all of their resources. When their resources are used up, bad fucking day.
아니 이게 최신 메타를 상대로 해서 일단 중국팀이 보여준 적은
Is this what Jeff means by community innovating? Yes. The thing is for the community to innovate, you actually have to be able to play other heroes. Like off picks. Oh man, this fucking slowness is killing me. Fuck it, make it worse. Like I said, we don't need 1080 to make fun of someone. Is there any chance is there a YouTube version of this? Does anyone know? I kind of did tonight's stream all willy-nilly, so I'm not super prepared for it. Maybe there is. Yes, hold on. Yeah, sorry for not being super professional tonight, but I did. Once I saw the Reddit thread and I saw this composition come up, I was like, man, we can't post links in chat though. Fucking A, just message me it. Mods, can you do something? Who has the link? Yeah. All right. Good, because the Twitch stuff is the best. Thank you. Man, my fucking chest.
힘이 강하니까.
This is where we're about at.
들고요.
네, 역시 좋은 건 따라 해야죠.
그럼요. 흡수 바로바로
네,
해줘야 됩니다.
바로
그래서
배워야 됩니다.
변경.
네, 그래서 디바가 없기 때문에 지금 솔맥을 꺼낸 상황. 네, 솔맥도 괜찮아 보입니다. 디바가 없기 때문에.
중장거리.
Here we go.
킹 플레이로 완벽하게 좀 방벽을 부숴주고 이득을 취하겠다라는 생각인데. 돼지
So the nice thing about all of this
가 들어간 것으로.
is that, look, dive comp.
괜찮아요. 그럴 수 있어요. 화염강타와
So Sun Tzu type stuff. Where's my Sun Tzu? Where's my fucking Art of War book at, by the way? I don't know where it's at, but I know what he's gonna say. Use your enemy's strength. Like, make the enemy's strength their weakness and make your weakness your strength. What is this one of the strongest aspects of dive comp? Dive, right? They all jump on you. So you actually don't need to make a move. And that's really, really good. In some certain sense. They can pick their fights. But look, as they dive,
킹 플레이로 완벽하게 좀 방벽을 부숴주고 이득을 취하겠다라는 생각인데.
well, they get ulted because of a little bit of an ult disadvantage. They get 2 picks because of it. And now the rest, because dive composition needs everyone, you take out a couple pieces of it, and then you can just continue forward. It's not a big fucking deal.
우리 신동섭 조보가 절대 안 좋아해요.
아무리 선수가 그래도
Right, it requires initiation. The enemy has to initiate. So they use McCree ult to zone.
디바가 없는 쪽도 여기는 디바가 없지만 이쪽은 라인하르트가 없어요. 그렇기 때문에
They start right there again. I don't know if anyone saw this. But you can see D.Va being forced to use defensive matrix. Right, they have to provide some type of damage mitigation. Right there, the bubble lasts very, very low, like low duration.
다 막힐 수밖에 없었고 플러시.
D.Va's already using up her resources, and they just kind of back out.
마지막 이 비비는 타이밍에 공동 시야가
But the concept of that should start start figuring things out for you. You're like, wait a second, we can start fighting this. Flanking Zarya, and now what do they got, right? Dive comp needs the whole dive, and this a solo grav on a soldier on the high ground. Why? Everyone says solo alts are the worst thing in Overwatch. Never do them. I say the opposite. If you kill one person, if there's a 100% chance to kill someone, do it. Why? It makes it a 5v6. Or in this case, when 2 are already dead, it makes it like a 5v2. You take out the high ground initiative. You take out their only flank, and now they're only left with a Lucio D.Va on point against your 4 or 5 people. You get the point. And everyone's like, well, that's still a waste of ult. Do you think anyone gives a fuck with 4 minutes left? No. You ult that shit, and you take that point right now.
디바의 상성이 고에너지 자리야.
And that's what they do. D.Va resources end out. They can't be used anymore. They get the point. Perfect.
너무 굉장히 빨리 차기 때문에
Right, you just do what you have to do to win the fight, no matter what. And when you have time on your side, you can make... I wouldn't even call it greedy plays. It's not even a greedy play to do that. What they're doing is they're just making sure they win 100. They're actually being the opposite of greedy. They're being like, there's a word. There's a fucking word. I want to say like plentiful. They're just being very relaxed with their ults, and they're just like, yeah, use it. I'll get it up in the next minute. Okay, we don't have it for the next fight, but who cares? We got the point. Liberal. Bam! Zeta 700. Liberal. That's what I was looking for. Balls deep, tricky dick, good guess, but no, I was not looking for the word balls deep. I would actually remember that one. So they're being quite liberal with their ults. Why? Because of the time bank. People forget about this aspect of Overwatch. Time management. Very, 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 very big. You can be liberal with your ults if you have a huge time bank, and if it secures you a point or some major type of event. Also, what stopped the... This is a secondary effect of the Lucio. The boop. So, you guys actually see me do that with Junkrat a lot. Right? And that should trigger some things. Hey, Junkrat can work against Dive, can work against Winston. You guys saw me put Winston in a pit more than a couple times. He'll dive on me, and I'll just be like, yeah, see you, bitch. Send him that way. So now they kind of got like, well, now Winston can't dive on you. Also with Boop, like Winston has a hard time diving. So these two things are both something we're going to need to know in the future. So Winston gets pushed out. Their kind of initiation, even though it's based on 5-second like between abilities, was kind of done. Right, and now they have to back off and they have to re-engage, which is difficult. That was a very good sleep. Hold on, we're at 31:46. Don't worry, guys. I downloaded the video. This is so good now. So, McCree's keeping the Winston at bay. Right, when he uses his bubble, he now has to play very, very safe. D.Va saves his ass a bit right there. Again, this is where the burst healing from Ana comes into play. Right, all the classes right now can cover for each other. And they keep pushing in. And then they just kind of push in. The leap comes in. That's their dive. Now they kind of just have to poke. They have to have this battle where they're less. So essentially, dive comp is a lot less. Dive comp is actually pretty shit at trading. If you have both teams lined up like this and they're just poking at each other, dive comp's really, really bad at this. Why? D.Va has 4 seconds matrix. Winston has a bubble every 12 seconds. 600 damage. They can burst through that. So the idea is dive comp, basically every 5-6 seconds they can dive. So as they're diving every 5 to 6 seconds, they're moving. But now what happens if their dive doesn't work? Well, they have to wait 5 seconds. That seems like a very small point of time, right? 5 seconds is not a very long time. But what happens is as they fail and they come back, the superior, essentially Reinhardt, Shield, and Zarya fill that 5-second gap. They're like, you can't actually dive on us for 5 seconds, so we're just going to bully you off the point. Right? They just kind of push them. They're like, all right, we have superior damage, we have superior shields. Get the fuck off. Get the fuck off. And they just keep pushing. If they miss another, like they try to dive again, they just keep pushing them. It is death. It's not even death bally, but it is death bally. It's abusing the 5-second disadvantage. 5-second cooldown. So Zarya ulted here. Ults come out. McCree ult. They're just out DPSing these guys horrendously, and they get it. Super easy. I'm trying to remember my controls. Oh, that was a full minute. So control that does a full minute. All right, this does 10 seconds. So now we see it. Oh, do we see it? Reinhardt, Zarya, Reaper, Junkrat. Some of my viewers know that when I talk about heroes in Overwatch, I give them a verb. Alright, and Junkrat's verb is to break. That's what he does. That is what the character represents. So what does that mean, he breaks? It means a formation. If the enemy has a formation, it breaks it up, right? That's what Junkrat does. If you're all together, he puts shots right in the middle there. You're like, all right, I got to split up. Breaks formation. Also with Concussive Mind, breaks formation. He also breaks armor, right? He strips classes of their armor because he doesn't care about armor. You do 5 less damage against armor. All right, I do 115 damage instead of 120. Big whoop. 1 shot, most of Winston's armor is gone. 2 shots, most of D.Va's armor. Well, D.Va's, I think all of D.Va's armor is gone. What does this open them to? Shotguns. Reaper. Hog. This is why me and Fuey, when we do the cannon combo, work so goddamn well. If he hooks someone, in those 1 to 2 seconds, I can strip him of their armor, and Fuey gets 2 shots off with a shotgun on someone without armor, and the tank just essentially melts. This is what Junkrat seeks to do. And from the video, it works very, very well. Also, there's the concept, and this is what I said in my first AMA, is that Junkrat is a support. He is DPS support. Now, a lot of people thought I was fucking dumb. The reason why he's DPS support is, one, he can attack the back lines from your own back lines. Meaning what? Zero commitment. I can attack anywhere, wherever I want. I can lob grenades around corners, behind a shield, get behind your shields. It's very, very low committal. Not only that, but if I do hit my shots, right, that's everyone's argument. Junkrat can hit a bunch of people, but he can't finish them off. What does finish people off? Zarya spam? Reinhardt? Fire Strike? That, if I hit someone once, oh, they're pretty much dead. If a Reaper is on them, they're toast. If you hit someone once, Reaper's going to clean them up in seconds. So, there's that whole thing going for the composition as well. Junkrat essentially can defend his supports with Concussive Mine and Trap, while supporting his, essentially, people that have to go in deeper. So, if Zarya's a little bit farther away, if Reinhardt's a little bit farther away, or if they're around corners, he can support them. I consider Junkrat, this is going to sound crazy, but he's a support flanker. Meaning he shouldn't be flanking alone. And in this video, you're going to see their Junkrat essentially plays exactly like how I play, except his team's with him. His team plays around them. And it works to great success.
이게 중요한 거예요.
파라가 있어요.
네.
이게 파라. 왜 파라 견제할 수 있는 게 아무것도 없어서.
짧아요. 이러면 류재웅이
So these casters, I don't know what they're saying because I don't know Korean, but they're just like, what the fuck are they playing, Junkrat? They have a Pharah, right? Oh shit, guys. Pharah counters Junkrat. There's nothing he can do. He should just quit the game. It's a lot. God, fucking Reddit's dumb.
혼자 다 잡는 그림이 있긴 있었기 때문에 기대해볼만 할 거예요.
So this is good disrupted by Pharah. Junkrat gets out because he is non-committal, right? He burst in damage, or in damage and mobility. Reaper right there, he just flanked really quick and got a kill on Zen.
아, 이거 견제 안 받으니까 올라서 그냥 프리딜, 말뚝딜, 소리 말하는.
그 와중에도 또 고에너지네요.
네, 고에너지.
So at this point, it's kind of the tables are turned. People are like, Pharah's good, but she's just feeding the Zarya now. This is why we talk about projectiles when we talk about Zarya. People ask me, they go, Chro, what can you do against Zarya? I feel like I just feed her shields. And I'm just like, Zarya's going to get a charge no matter what. And they're like, no, Junkrat feeds Zarya shields. That's the reason why Junkrat can't be played. The truth is, Zarya feeds off of everything. If it's a projectile, Zarya's going to feed off of it. In fact, Pharah has 100 damage, 120 damage projectiles, same as Junkrat. She's going to get her charge. That's why we analyze stuff at a fundamental layer and not like stupid ideas. Like saying Junkrat feeds Zarya. Well, what would feed Zarya? It's a projectile. All right, so Zarya feeds off of projectiles. And now we can actually apply this knowledge for other things. We're going to learn. So she has to get the fuck out because the Ana has good aim. And now here's a good tactic. They're getting around, right? But because of the because of the burst heal, Lucio keeps the flankers at range with Boop. Reaper here is to kill it. Also, Junkrat keeps them. Essentially, they have two Boops, right? 1, 2. They have Junkrat and Lucio to keep the flankers at range. Well, what happens? The flankers start flanking, and the rest that dove, the Pharah and the Winston, they're getting held up right now. Right? And now a couple pieces of the dive died. Dive only works as a whole entity, so they have to back up. Pharah actually really bad at destroying shields. Here's that burst heal.
자, 초월 빠진 비도시 공도시 이탈리아에 뭔가 해야 됩니다.
소리 방벽으로 한번 버텨냈기 때문에 이거 만호 선수 살릴 수
자, 죽일
있었고요.
타요.
오, 자, 오, 여기서 좋아요. 이거 힐러 다 잡았어요.
They get 2 kills. They even ult there, but there's a Zarya. D.Va has to back out. So what does that mean? That means everyone else has free reign. The Junkrat has free reign, the Reaper has free reign, everyone can do what they want. The Junkrat got Lucio, Reaper got Tracer, Junkrat took out the tank. I got people. First of all, I like how their reaction is like. And I'm sorry because I'm a Junkrat, but none of these shots have been impressive. So I saw some things on the forum. They're like, "Man, Flower's so good at Junkrat. That's the only way you can play him if you're that good." Like, actually, he doesn't do anything that impressive. It's how the team works with him, and it's how the composition is essentially works in general. That's the impressive part. It's not the play; it's the thought of this composition. Which, I guarantee you, if you did on the ladder, everyone would complain the Reaper and the Junkrat right now are throwing. So is the Zarya and the Reinhardt. Right, all these classes are bad meta. According to the Reddit, and all the top 500 and everyone else in the ladder, this composition can't work. This is throwing. They're throwing right now, technically. So, Junkrat assassinates Zenyatta. This happens. Remember, another thing we talk about. Flanking takes time. I'm sorry to keep on pausing, but there's a lot of talk to go on here. Flanking takes time. What does Junkrat not give a fuck about? Time. Why? Because he's burst. He's burst oriented. Burst mobility, burst damage. The Tracer flanks. Anyone flanks, it takes time. What happens? You rotate on the rotation. They send 2 people this way, you send 2 people that way. Guess what? Your 2 people, Reaper, Junkrat, are going to do insane amounts of damage in 2 to 3 seconds while the Tracer is still flanking. And you just get a numbers advantage from that point. Once you take 1 pick, you come back and support your team as 6 again.
그렇죠. 한 방에 보내버릴 수 있기 때문에 굉장히 매서운 공격이 될 수 있어요.
So Junkrat, this is what I always do, right? Hold the hotel. It's the best goddamn place for it. D.Va has to use resources. Right here, come all the resource usage coming out early. There's the bubble. What happened? Reaper was inside the bubble. He killed him. Right? Now you would think this would be very weak against the Pharah, but look how they're playing. They rotate as a team. They kill the supports, and now they don't have to worry about the Pharah, right? She has to back off on her own.
자, 여기서 4궁. 그리고 콩도 시아도 이제 4궁에 모인 상태인데요.
여기서
일단 들켰죠.
네.
자리아한테 또 이제 아나의 궁극기
And now
또 이제
the Pharah that's on her own gets hunted down. And it gets killed. Now they're down a lot. And there's a goddamn ulted Reaper. They use a defensive ult. But Zarya doesn't give 2 fucks because once that defensive ult dies, Zarya ults, defensive ult runs out, they all die. And then they get it. So, as we can see, South Korea threw the game by their picks. A total throw with these picks. Everyone would say they're weak against range. That's actually their biggest weakness is range. The thing is that what long-range heroes suck at? Destroying shields. They got the best shield in the goddamn game, Reinhardt. Secondly, they have a Zarya. So Reinhardt can put his shield down, they can back up with Lucio speed, or they can hold a specific corner of the map where they're less vulnerable. King Chro, they can keep on backing up, and they can kind of hold this area while all their resources recharge, while the long-range classes would have to come around and flank. Essentially, just think about a circle, right? It's a circle. So these guys only have to go from here to here. Well, anyone else trying to get this corner, at first they have to go from here. Oh, they have to go. Where's my line tool? Shift? Yeah. They have to go all the way from here, all the way around to get around this, right? Because these guys have to traverse a smaller circle. They have to traverse this circle while the other guys have to traverse essentially the entire map. It's simple logistics. I have to back up 3 feet. You have to back up essentially, I don't know, 100 meters, right? Just because of how circles work. So they pivot around a corner. They pivot very small. The enemy has to pivot very big. It buys them time if their shields were low or if their resources were low, which they're not. Also, they didn't have a long-range comp. They had a dive comp. So actually, dive comp sucks at breaking shields. They suck at breaking shields. Winston, terrible. Pharah, in this instance, they had Pharah, but they changed to Genji and Tracer. D.Va, not good at breaking shields. She has really high fall-off damage. She has to be really close to the shield, in which case she's getting beaten with a hammer or Zarya. That's what really keeps her in check. The Genji Tracer can be held at bay with Boop and Concussive Mine. And also, they're not that good at breaking shields either. They have to be close. Then the two supports don't give a fuck. So actually, the Reinhardt is really good against dive comp. If he has the team to support it. What Reinhardt dies, or how he dies, is by dive comp outmaneuvering him to get behind him and attacking him directly and just erasing him from the game. But you have Ana Burst Heal, you have Zarya Shield, Lucio Boop, Junkrat, Concussive Mine. You have a lot of disruptive abilities, and not only that, with Junkrat, Reaper, anything that fucking takes 5 seconds to kill a Reinhardt, that's 5 seconds Junkrat and Reaper are doing damage. I can tell you 100% Junkrat does, at 5 seconds, he would do 720 damage. I don't know Reaper's numbers that well, but I'm pretty sure they're very well close to it. This match wasn't PTR patch. No, so actually Reinhardt will be stronger and Zarya will be stronger. So this is pre-buff, if you will. No, this is a very well-designed comp. Junkrat strips you of your resources. He breaks them, right? That's his whole fucking thing. If you have armor, he takes it away. If you have resources, you have to use it. Why? Because Junkrat is so strong, he's so bursty, you have to respect it and commit resources to it. Dive then burns resources early, and then they dive without those resources. That's how this composition works. Junkrat is long range. I keep telling people this over and over and over. Junkrat and Widow have the same mindset. They just do things a little bit differently. They're all about burst damage and commitment at long range with little to no commitment. So this is beautiful. You know what the best part is? It's just the first match. So, second match. We're on Nepal. King of the Hill. Everyone says Junkrat's the worst. That would be wrong. So, dive again. It's pretty much, it is the identical teams. They dropped the Pharah. Kongdoo dropped the Pharah. Oh, I should rename. Yep, thank you. Thank you. Chro reviews. Okay, there we go. So, what happens? So, they dove the Junkrat. What happened? He essentially bursted the... So let's see this again. Winston kind of gets on the Junkrat. But look at Winston's health. He got hit once, and now he has no armor, right? D.Va, no armor. You can look at Winston's health just get chunked away without the armor. Tracer doesn't last very long against Junkrat. It's not a favorable matchup for Junkrat. It's even, I would say, with top tier of players of both. And what happens? The dive happens, but the burst damage slaughters them. Right? So this entire let's go back a minute. Let's go back not a minute. So if we just watch this in real time, let's look at the resource usage by Kongdoo versus South Korea. So defensive matrix is already being used. There's bubble. Both for the Zarya and for the Winston.
겐지 트레이서가 이것에 완벽한
Now because they have to commit, they all escape. They actually use their movement abilities to run.
잡혔죠, 이거.
Tracer gets picked.
이게 충격질에 그냥 잡혔습니다.
그렇습니다. 충격지
There's the second time Winston can use bubble. What happens to him?
이 트레이서의
Gets destroyed. D.Va tries to protect them. Guess what? Reinhardt and Zarya don't give two fucks about D.Va. She gets destroyed. Now that the tanks are gone, dive falls apart. If you do not have all the pieces in dive, it goes away.
그냥 뺏었는데요.
Essentially, there's so much damage coming out, you have to respect it. If you don't respect it, you die.
그렇게 어렵지 않게.
If you do respect it, they're just going to wait until you're out of resources.
네.
들어가서 윈스턴이 버텨주는 동안 딜러가 녹일 시간이 안 돼요. 그 전에 먼저 터지죠.
Also, because it's long range, look at this. Junkrat's way back here.
자, 슬쩍 빠졌어요.
Oh,
자, 띵 선수
and now he's in a closed-in area, which is good for Junkrat.
훨씬 좀더 잘해줘야 돼, 운시야. 잘
밀었어요.
이런 만호 선수가 잡히기 직전. 리퍼한테 뽕 줬어요. 펄스 폭탄까지.
Reaper with nano boost. D.Va tries to eat the shots. She uses defensive matrix up. Guess whose time it is to shine?
그냥 쓰고 이거 게이지
Yeah.
도비가 둘 낙수야.
Zarya.
이거 막았죠?
If at any point D.Va drops her defense matrix, Reaper destroys her instantly.
조금 불리한 싸움이라고 생각을 했는데 낙사를 2명 시켜주고 그 와중에 중력자탄 게이지 100.
네.
How does D.Va need to play around this? D.Va's in a really rough spot in this meta, or against this comp. If you put defensive matrix down, so here's the thing about D.Va, and this is why I always said, I was like, guys, everyone's like, D.Va's not balanced. And I was like, you know what? D.Va is balanced. It's just not a fun mechanic. And why is it balanced? If one person occupies D.Va, she cannot shoot. That takes one person on a dive. I mentioned this before. So you're down to a Winston. Does 60 damage per second. One of the lowest in the game. He can hit multiple people, so he can actually have one of the highest in the game very quickly. But after that, it comes down to the Tracer Genji to get work done. The problem is Junkrat with Concussive Mine keeps them at bay. Yeah. He keeps them at bay very, very well. The Lucio helps as well because he'll keep booping them. And if anyone at any point, at any time is, looking rough, Zarya can bubble them. Also, Zarya is one of the main sources of damage in this composition. She's the one that makes D.Va stay basically honest. Right? So essentially you need two heroes to punish the D.Va. If D.Va absorbs the Junkrat, Zarya punishes her. If D.Va tries to shoot any of them, everyone punishes the D.Va. And they have so much burst damage, they just take her out. So the problem is like, what do you do? What do you do with the dive comp against, like, insane burst? Your only thing you can do is try to burst down the 200 hit point heroes. You need to kill the Junkrat or the Reaper. The problem is Reaper can Wraith form. He can buy time. The Junkrat, he's a little tricky motherfucker. One, he's long range, so you have to get to him. Secondly, you have to get past his trap and his concussive mine. If he doesn't have his concussive mine out, he can just disengage. If you dive on him, he goes, peace out. Good job, guys. Now you have to commit again. What is the right decision for D.Va? It's tough. Why? Because you got 4 seconds. And 4 seconds seems like a lot. But because of Reinhardt's shield, they can constantly put pressure. Also with the Reaper and the Junkrat, they can constantly keep pressure. As soon as the 4 second leaves up, their main source of damage mitigation, toast. It's just toast. That's all there is to it. D.Va, I don't think people understand, and maybe Doomfist will fuck up dive meta. But as soon as D.Va gets put back and Winston is forced to fight 6 people alone, if his team's not with him, Winston's dead. Winston's dead without defensive matrix. Because any damage dealer, McCree, Junkrat, or Reaper, those are all heavy burst damage characters, and they're gonna fuck Winston's life up really bad. It's actually a tough decision what you have to do in this, and I think they caught him off guard, so they're just like, I'll defensive matrix the Junkrat, and they're like, we'll fucking kill the Zarya, and they're like, oh, I'll kill the Zarya, and they're like, the Junkrat kills him from the side, and they're just like, what do I do? Remember when I tell people when I throw down a trap, what I do is, if they look at the trap and they destroy it, I use that to get an extra shot off, because that's 1 or 2 seconds they're not shooting at me. If they keep the trap there, I use that area to deny them. No matter what your decision is, I have to take advantage of it. That's what it means to be a reactive player or a reactive team. No matter what decision people do, you have something to do against it. That's what they did with the D.Va and the Winston. D.Va, you defensive matrix, punish you. If you don't defensive matrix, punish you. Right? I mean, it's a well-designed comp. Their one weakness is long range, but they have the shield, and long range, like I said, isn't good against shields. So here, look at this. They're just not even on the point. Right? They want dive to dive on them. They get a pick. Fucking Riptire. But you see how they just stay back and they allow Junkrat's long range damage to try to help to get someone? Now Dive wants to dive, so as soon as they do, they just start destroying them. They gotta pick. The tire may force the supports back up. And right there, you can't defensive matrix the hammer.
이러면 디바가 늦게 죽으면 또다시 리스폰도 꼬이는데 중요한 건 아니 상대방의 겐지 트레이
So again, dive, it's Sun Tzu. The weakness of dive, the strength of dive is they have to dive. The weakness of dive is that they have to dive. If they dive, you can kill them, right? Because they have to use resources to get to you.
아 익숙할까봐 제가 개인 방송 볼 때 환경을 그렇게 사랑하시더라고요. 고에너지를 안 쌌더라고요. 네, 자 이제 공 2개 남은 국가대표.
Here we go. Reinhardt doing his thing. Winston was trapped there, by the way. He actually has to leave with his ult. Nano Reaper. Nano Reaper is, yeah. Nano Reaper will destroy most things instantly. Playing tank against a comp like that seems like you're just feeding. Would something like quad DPS do better since they can't really punish them with death ball? This is a good question. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this. Let's sit down and have a chit chat. So ASDF, he says tank against a comp like that seems like you're feeding. Would something like quad DPS do better since they can't really punish that with death ball? Quad DPS. The big problem is Reinhardt's shield. That's the big problem. Now, Reinhardt's shield alone, you're like, well, we'll just stay long range and we'll just keep him busy from there. The problem is you have a Junkrat constantly shelling wherever you're at. Without any tank whatsoever, Junkrat, Zarya, Reaper, I think can bully anyone off a point. If Reaper Wraith forms in or bubbles in, if they're behind the Reinhardt and he keeps on approaching you and you can't destroy that shield, Reaper is getting closer and closer and closer and closer, closer and closer, closer. You have to do something, but the shield's there so you can't. If you try to get around him, he has Lucio and Junkrat to stop any flanking. I'm not going to say quad DPS can't work, but it's tough. It would be tough. You need something to shield this this slowly approaching shield wall. So 4 DPS could probably burst down the shield pretty quick. The problem is how quick is quick enough. And once Reinhardt's shield goes down, he's going to charge in. He's going to get bubbled, and then there's a Reaper attacking you. And when all of your attention is on the Reaper and the Reinhardt jumping in on you, you're constantly being shelled from Junkrat. And this is what I've always said Junkrat excels at. And why I love being with a Winston is a Winston attracts a lot of attention. He jumps in, he's like, hey, look at me, I'm a Winston, blah, 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 blah. And while they're all busy, they're getting shot upside the face with Junkrat. As soon as a team can force people in to a corner, that's where Junkrat excels at. And that's what I've always said. I go, guys, as soon as teams learn how to bully other teams and put them in an area, Junkrat denies area. Well, fuck it. Deny that area that they're pushed into. That's perfect. That's how you use Junkrat. Well, what does this also do? It also eliminates his inconsistency. Right? If I put you in a small enough area, my shots are going to hit no matter what. So that's really good. Let's keep going. Not to exclude your main. But don't worry about my main. I don't have a main. I just play Overwatch, and I just choose to play with Junkrat. But is it possible to run an alternate to this comp with McCree instead of Junkrat?
만들어주고 중력
Yes.
쑥 만들어가면서
But your long range will be dampened a little bit.
근데
But you do have a little bit bursty. I would say
자 이제 플라워 선수 말씀하신 대로 솔저를
굴러가고 있는
with a whoa. Hold on.
좀 정확히 좀 힘들지.
Sorry, they started this game really late. The thing with McCree is, yeah, he has really good mid range. That's where Junkrat's the weakest, actually.
포커싱이 안 돼.
아
그렇기 때문에 조금 좀 힘들지 않나요?
이상
계속 한타를 하면
아시아 3위의 예
이러면
전략 강민
신빙성이 있어요.
시즌이었습니다. 아시아 3위.
Here we go. They actually run Reinhardt, Zarya, Pharah, Reaper, Lucio, Ana. Guess what, guys? They dropped the Junkrat for McCree. Flower switched to Reaper, and then they picked up a McCree. Pretty much because there's very few choke points on this map where fighting happens. Like, there is this choke point where they can force you into a corner. But look, right here, like, as soon as this is difficult for Junkrat to do stuff on.
와 아주 아름답게 들어가는데요.
똑같이 라인 자리야 가져오고 이번에는
네.
리퍼와 파라를 같이 기용했기 때문에 디바가 없다는 걸 알기 때문에 이런 플레이가 가능한 거거든요.
네.
So they do get the point.
너무 센데라는
They push him in the choke and they punish them.
조합을 따라서 왔습니다. 핑 선수는 또 파라니까 파라 그 자체의 모습을 보여주기 위해서고요.
좀 다른 거가 있으면 파라와 맥크리가 좀 다른데 맥크리 포지션을 좀 잘.
And what do?
파라를
This I love. So it's there's something beautiful about simplistic strategies. Do you see what their strategy was to take the point? It was to walk on it. They just walked on it. There was nothing fancy. There was no meta. There was nothing like crazy ability usage. They just go like this. They walk on it with Reinhardt shield. Both of these Reinhardts have Reapers behind them. So there is a very sharp spear behind this shield. But they just kind of walk on the point. I kind of like it.
견제를 잘 해줘야 되는 상황이고 이거 만호 잡혀요. 아 이거 앞라인 포커싱 오히려 라인 자리야를 같이 쓰니까.
Pharah gets some kills.
이속 받고 계속 따라가고 있는
따라가죠 끝까지.
And they're all pushed back. I don't even worry about all these kills. Like, that just happens.
와 진짜 이거 너무 좋아요. 이거 괜찮아요. 이거 잡으려고 끝까지.
Now this Pharah is paying off.
뭐냐면 라인 자리야 버프 버전이 아니에요.
South Korea adapts
더 좋아지는 거죠.
만체들이 더 빨라지고 여러분들 중력자
by going Soldier, Tracer.
그렇죠. 목이 절대 밖으로 못 나가요. 목이들. 가둬도 그냥 다 그냥 예 때릴 수 있는
So
거죠.
here they're abusing.
픽이 바뀌었네요 이제.
So this screams to me. I've always said this. 5-1 flank, most powerful tactic in Overwatch. So they have Reinhardt, Zarya, Ana, Lucio. That's like the main core, and then they change their DPSers, Soldier, Tracer. Both of these classes can flank. Both of these classes excel at flanking, but you don't want to flank with both of them at the same time. That's too obvious, and it's too, I would say, weak. Because they could just pick to put numbers advantage on one of the two, or put numbers advantage on your core, which is only 4 people. And while you're flanking, your core will get destroyed. So what you want to do is you want to put 5, and you want to flank with 1. Why is this strong? Because this isn't a dive comp they're fighting, it's a Reinhardt-type lineup, where a Reinhardt-type lineup points a specific way. It's vulnerable to flanks. And as soon as a Soldier or a Tracer gets like a good clip into the Reinhardt or anyone in the back lines, like things start going pretty hellish, right? Because Reinhardt can't relocate that quick. He's not like dive comp where they can constantly jump around and defend where they're at. With a shield comp, they kind of have to be behind the shield and close to it, but Reinhardt can only defend from one way, so if you do a 2-pronged attack, especially with 5, because it's hard to see that there's one missing in the 5. Believe it or not, in the chaotic moments, it's going to be hard to see that. As soon as you see it, it's probably when you got a clip in your head from Tracer. Or, Helix Rocket. Let's see what they do. I actually don't know what they're going to do, but I'm assuming the 5-1 flank. They fucking... You know what I told you guys about corners? I'm always like, if there's a corner, first thing you have to do is learn to get across. Why? Because then you can attack from multiple ways, and it's a lot easier to deal with. What do? Send the Tracer on the away from the corner so they can attack from multiple ways. But
완벽해요.
whoa!
띵띵. 예, 정말 제대로.
But
예.
when you're at an alt disadvantage after you change classes,
몇번 마음에 안 들었어요.
that shit will happen.
이 장면으로 예, 다 이제 끝났습니다. 네.
야, 근데 이건
자,
어차피 쟁탈 라운드 자체가 첫 번째 싸움, 두 번째 싸움을 가져가는
네.
쪽이 궁극기가 워낙
Do
유리하다.
we call this comp the wall
보니까
comp?
굴러가고 있는
No,
거고,
it's just
국가대표 쪽에서도 상대방
Reinhardt lacks mobility, so he's vulnerable to flanks.
그렇습니다.
네, 그렇습니다.
So at this point, their ults are more even.
거리 들어서
Anti-heal.
막았어요. 대지문세 막아줬어요.
대지문세 막아줬고요.
소량병 쓰고 들어갔는데 버블리도 소량병.
They trade ults. No one gets anything.
리퍼한테 큐리오 선수한테
여기서 죽어. 아, 수면 쪽.
There's the Reinhardt.
만호 선수의 대지문세까지 들어가면 이번 턴에 뺏어내기 직전입니다.
와, 대지문세 정말 제대로 들어갔어요.
다소 궁극기를 좀
I'm actually not sure what killed that Reaper really quick. Was the Reinhardt charge? Or someone put him down with the Reinhardt ult, I think.
없었는데
네.
이것도 손해가
Yeah, he's at 5% ult, so yeah, he ulted.
맞았기 때문에 욕심이 좀 났는지 버블리 선수가 소리 방법까지 써버린 건데 이렇게 되면 궁극기 교환이 좀 비슷하게.
And now the tides have turned. South Korea goes for a Zen.
비트 버블리 선수의 비트요.
네, 너무 아쉬웠어요.
안 쓰고
I guess Ana just used her ult.
갈수 있는 무조건 상황이고 킬러공 차이가
And, okay, so they're probably going to go Zen
있었는데
to deal with the Pharah.
이게 또 띵
They got dual hit scan Zen. They're trying to go put the Pharah down. Also, it really does help against Reinhardt
한두 명만 잘라줄 수 있다면
and
몰래 가서
네,
Zarya.
합니다, 이거.
정면에서 시간을
네, 포지션이 너무 좋죠. 포화 있는 거
But
알아요.
this is sneak. Okay, here's the odd thing about being sneaky with Pharah is you're loud as fuck.
여기 위치는 좋은데.
근데 잡혔어요. 이걸 류정 선수
So there's the hit scan paying off, right?
많이 돌아갔었죠 이렇게 되면.
Zen died, but
상황이었습니다.
the Pharah Zen, or I mean, the soldier Zen took down the Pharah.
자,
They got a numbers advantage. I'm not sure what killed the Zarya. It looks like she just jumped off. But yes.
궁극기가 좀 차고 있기 때문에 특히나 토비 선수의 소리 방벽이 훨씬 더 빨리 오고 버블리 선수는 또 잡히는 바람에 지금 아예 없어요.
So they're sticking with the Pharah, I think because of the ult percentage. She has ult.
그렇죠. 뭐라도 놀라는 상황이다 보니까 예, 놀랄 때 뭐라도 해야 돼요.
네.
Again, same tactic. Wow.
이거 포화 이거 준비됐죠, 이거?
They take the low ground because it's actually pretty safe, this low ground.
1인공이라도
It turns the high ground into a false high ground.
와, 포화
일단
각이 아예 안 나와요, 지금.
라인아웃 간에 대지부터 있습니다, 여러분들.
딜로스 큰데요. 갑니다.
She's gonna go up and over to try to ult them.
죽어. 대박 뺐어요.
이거 죽어 너무 잘 높였는데요, 진짜.
And
죽어 아니.
what I think,
와, 만호의
when there are a lot of, basically in season 3 and 4, when there were a lot of Ana Genji ults, what teams would do is they would run Reinhardt and they would save the ult for whatever got nano boosted. I think that's a very common strat nowadays, and that's what they did right there. They saved the Reinhardt ult until ults were committed, and then they spend one ult to beat two ults.
실수하면 안 돼요, 은시야. 자, 여기
So they put down the Reaper ult and Ana's ult with that.
이거 뒤에 숨어 있었고 부조화 순식간에 걸어.
Third time, they try to be tricky with the Pharah. Soldier punishes her. With that done, their second, the DPS is gone, and they're going to lose the point. That's actually very, very strange. I want to see where the Pharah came in at. Zarya does her thing. Where the fuck did the Pharah come in at?
솔직히 이번 턴은 은시가 이겨야 됩니다.
I think the Pharah went up and over. No, she's right there. She's right there.
자, 여기
She must concussive blast up and over, but the soldier was on her immediately. With the Discord orb, she just gets put down. And Zarya ulting a Zen comp, or not. Zarya ulting a Rhine comp, if you can't get behind the shield, which is what the Pharaoh was meant to do, you can't do anything. That was great. Good. Let's skip ahead.
결론이 그렇게 가는 거예요?
X-Man.
대단하다.
그래요? 그렇게 썩 대단해 보이진
네,
않는데.
뭔가 엄청나게 횡설수설하다가 내용
네.
이상해졌는데 아무튼 뭐
네.
대단하다라는 걸로 결론을 한번 내리면 좋겠네요. 네.
이게 뭐가 썩
So
대단한지
this,
잘 모르겠지만 용봉대에서 대단하다니까 대단해 보여요.
아 그럼요.
they are running Mei.
영상입니다.
Also, does anyone find it funny that Flower plays the same class as I play? Anyone find that? I find that adorable. I think he understands how I think, and we probably think the same way, where we're just like, oh, we really like these versatile skill sets. Very interesting ways to play. It's more about outsmarting than mechanically being superior. Yeah, but skill with these classes is really good. As I play my Mei Smurf, I'll tell you that it's becoming more and more true. People think Mei's about like decisions and putting a wall up and doing that stuff. Be a good Mei.
제가 볼 때는
Fucking headshots.
말렸어요.
Puts classes down.
안 되겠다. 우리도 이렇게 꺼내야겠다. 근데 이러면은 불리하거든요. 아무리 조합이 같다고 해도 저 조합에 맞대응.
Am I really a tiny Asian man from the South Korea team?
어떻게 보면은 진 거예요.
그렇죠.
네, 그렇기 때문에.
Maybe.
근데 여기
너무 무서워요. 메인은 얼굴만 봐도 여기 왜 와가지고 메인은 그냥 무서워요.
네. 근데 이 맵이
네.
호라이즌 달기 특히 A지역 같은 경우에는 리퍼라든지 메이가 꽤 괜찮아요. 잘 쓰이는 팩이기 때문에 이게 라인 자리아까지 또 더해줬다라고 했을 때는 오히려 더 좋은 모습을 보여줄 수
Well,
있는
progressive, you need mechanical skill needs to come first, and then you work on decision making.
무한한 가능성.
It's
그렇죠. 팀워크의
it's a paradox. They both can beat each other.
라인이랑 자리아를 막아.
Mechanical skill can trump decision making can trump skill.
입구가 좁아요. 입구가 좁아서
But you have to work on both.
잘립니다.
그렇죠.
네. 한 번에
So the whole thing with Mei is that she's going to try to cut your team in half,
거 알고 있기 때문에 쉽사리
or depending on how greedy you want to be.
방벽 싸움.
자, 이 타이밍에
So we do see. So the man that was asking, can we replace Junkrat with the McCree? And you're goddamn right you can. Essentially, this is prioritizing mid-range and consistency over like a bully comp where you're just trying to force him into a small area just to kill him.
좋게요.
그렇죠. 케인 선수의 방벽은 지금 아직까지 좀
네,
멀쩡합니다.
지금 마론 선수가 채워주고 있는 것으로 보이고 있는데 조금 더 빠르게 채워줘야 되고.
So they kind of just fight on point, and then Mei does Mei things.
들어서 들어가야죠. 근데 들어가다가 띵 잘리고.
그렇죠. 생체 수류탄 터지는 거 보세요.
Reinhardt, that was a beautiful charge.
터지면서
아이고
수비를
너무 앞에 있었어요 큐리오스 지금 포지션.
아, 근데 팀워크가
팀워크가 좋은데요.
너무 좋은데요?
But they kind of get the drop on him. That was actually a very even fight.
대박으로 들어가 또 더해줬다라고 했을 때는 오히려 더 확실히 좋은 모습을 보여줄
Oh
수
shit,
있는
I did the
선수입니다.
minute thing.
네. 단단한 힘싸움 조합일 때
괜찮아요. 잘 쪽 조합이
Sorry,
팩이기
I'm still learning the
때문에
VLC controls.
지금 반쪽으로 못
다
들어가고.
빠졌고요.
So the Mei wall misses. This is a very even fight right here.
들어서 들어가야죠. 근데 들어가다가
Zarya, but the problem is... Okay, so it's an even fight, but the problem is this. This was cut off. They are coming through an extremely small choke point. As they push in here, these guys attacked the back lines. And now the Reinhardts are going to come in here and just force everyone this way.
잘리고.
그렇죠. 생체 수류탄 터지는 거 보세요. 예, 정말 아군에게 제대로 터지면서 수비를
너무 앞에 있었어요.
From there, the Reinhardts, he dives, he gets surrounded, gets killed. Everyone else is going to get killed now.
막타를 못 칩니다 지금.
네,
홍콩
힐밴
시야.
자체는 대박으로 들어가.
At this point, it's just like finishing off targets.
끝까지 따라가는 거 템포 너무 빠르고.
Essentially, the tactic there was they lost because they came through an extremely small choke point. What they should have done is waited for Mei wall to be done.
약간 본능적으로 나오는.
원래 그 펄팩을 밀고 있다가 요새 이제 약간 좀 더 변화를 줘서 변화로 한번 던지는 것 같은데
맞아요.
나쁘지 않았어요. 이따
네.
한 번 정도 더 하는 거 추천합니다.
이따부터 들어볼게요. 그때는 조금 더 자신감 있게. 안경은 좀 소극적이었어요. 자 이제
Progressive is trying to be like super ironic, where he takes things I've said literally, and he doesn't think about them for himself.
이거 잘리는 거 너무 안 좋은데 너무
The truth is, you need both extremely good mechanics and extremely good decision making. Right there, that was just like, you know, a good wall off. That's Mei in a nutshell. The truth is you need mechanics first, and mechanics can trump everything, but decision making is incredibly important.
이걸 따라가서 잡고 왔어요.
But you do need good mechanics.
위험하거든요 이거.
아 이건 졌네요.
The truth is, it's like a straight line beats a circle beats a straight line.
그럼요. 정말 많이 봤어요.
이 과학은 깨.
It's a paradox.
전신 노리려고 앞에 숨어 있어요 지금. 2층에 숨어 있다가
이 상황은 정말 펄펙 해야 돼요.
예.
자 봅시다.
근데 여기 이제 자리아랑 메이궁이 있기 때문에
And now,
맞지 않을까.
it's the fight of the ults.
이것만으로 봤을 때는 그래도 콩도 인시아도 보유가 되기 때문에
Evo, thank you so much. That auto host is auto host. Steve, you're probably not here, but thank you for the 55 viewers.
저였어요. 좋아요. 지금
So this time, they take a little bit of a high ground approach.
그럼 들어가는 타이밍 이거 중바 선수 중력 자탄도
I'm not sure.
얼어요.
So that was a good, that was a really great mail.
네 이게 육궁이 불안해.
So I'm not 100% sure what they're thinking about attacking high. Because Mei wall would still hit right here if let's say she hit the perfect Mei wall, but it was actually a bait. So they're waiting for the Mei wall to go up, and I assume they were thinking maybe we could jump on top of the wall from the high ground or something. But she actually does it wall on purpose to make them all attack in. And once a couple are in, you're afraid of the Mei wall walling everyone off, so you just want to jump in with everyone. The problem is that that's exactly what they wanted. Oh, actually, they slept the Mei. That's what happened. They slept the Mei. They came in because the Mei was asleep, but the Mei woke up, walled, and then froze everyone. That's what happened.
물론 이거를 잘 막아내긴 했습니다만 이 다음 타이밍이 좀 위기가 될 수 있는 게 운샷 쪽에는 이제 분이 좀 많이 있어요.
Oh, the commentators are fucking having a blast. This is why I love Korean commentators. They're just very full of energy. To me, it's like if Color Basher was a commentator, this is what he would be like. He'd just be seeing stuff and going fucking nuts on it, right?
무조건 뚫을 수 있는 이 한타인데
죽음의 끝도 오잖아요.
근데 궁이 많으면
이것 또한 막힐 것 같은 그런 느낌이죠.
마음이 급해질 수 있어요. 급하게 들어가다가 이거 괜히 또 플라우 선수한테 빙벽에 반 갈리고
그게 중요해요.
벽에 막히고 뭐 이러면 정말 망하는 건데.
So here they are.
잘 들어가면 됩니다.
Now this is an interesting point about this map. So one of the things I want to do is start a map review session. Or map review type deals. Where I go over a map and talk about what's unique about it, what can they be abused, you know, stuff like that. High grounds, is it a real high ground? How can you make this high ground a false high ground? Stuff like that. How can you abuse stuff on the map? I think it's incredibly important because there's two things in the game that are consistent. One, what's the other one? I'll quiz you fuckers. I've said about this before. The one is map. So, because we're talking about that. It's the one thing you can count. One of the two things you can count on, right? Because it's consistent, it doesn't change. It's always going to be one way. Now, I have another one. Another one. Anyone remember what I said? Raccoona! Own team! Fuck yeah! Good job, Raccoona. Death and taxes. Whatever, you get partial credit. Yourself, Lapras. You're on it too, but Raccoona, fucking spot on. Your team. So the weird thing about this map is that, let's say this, we're looking top down. This is the enemy spawn area, and this is the defender spawn area. This is the only map in Overwatch where it has a side path here to get in between the spawn room and the point. This is really, really important because if you ever get a pick, let's say if they killed one of these players off, what they could do is they could attack through this left side, and essentially they permanently separate any spawns from combat. Essentially, they can camp in this room, actually the room they're in right now, and limit the spawn, limit reinforcements. They can kill their supply chain, but they don't get a pick. So what do they have to do? They have to either pick left or right. Now, left has two entrances. 1, 2. So it is a little bit nicer than this. And because of this composition... Sorry. Yeah, because... Nope, I'm not sorry. Because of this composition... because of a full change from dive, they actually have no vertical mobility. So, one, it was a fortunate thing that they have a Mei, because there's no vertical mobility. Secondly, they can't get over the top or in the middle, right? Because the top and the middle both have openings. So they're going to go from the left. I would prefer a 5-1 flank, put 5 people on this side, put 1 person on this side, and attack at the same time. But they're just doing all one side because they're more like a shield type composition. So let's see how they deal with this. The problem is the big choke point that they want to go through is just going to get made. Like right there, they try to bait it out, but this is one of the greatest things about Mei. She can one-shot Tracer with a headshot. So the Mei wall went in, they committed the resources, didn't work. Reinhardt shield stops everyone from the Zarya ult killing them. And they actually have a chance to fight back. There's the Mei wall again. Separates the Reinhardt, and now he's just meat for whoever's left. With them all grouped up, they just hunt down the maining aspects. Commentators are like, amazing.
어메이징 맞아요.
Beautiful.
이거는 어메이징 맞습니다.
됐어요. 한 칸도 안 줬습니다.
마지막에 줄사
이거 진짜
정말 그
새롭게 나온
운영
So really good play.
A
And now they're on attack.
만족을 했었잖아요.
네.
What are they doing on attack? They bring out the Junkrat McCree again.
생각이네요.
그 원래 다른 게임, 다른 장르
The Junkrat gives them vertical mobility. Even if they don't want to use it, it's still an option. Also, the McCree really helps the mid-range that Junkrat really lacks at. The mid-range consistency. Also, this angle right here, extremely strong. Also, he can just terrorize the point. Right? He can try to get shots in this way. So they kind of do the poke thing. Both teams, you know, positioning for damage, alt charge, stuff like that, resource usage, seeing if they can get any resource edge on the opponent. Because of Blast can fuck up your day, though. Right there, Junkrat landed 2 shots. I don't know if anyone saw it. We'll look at Junkrat's. First of all, he's already at 31%. We're going to watch it 38%, 42. And right here, that shot right there. He's at 55% now. When you have the consistent damage of a McCree Zarya. Oh my god, that was so good. Watch this. I love Koreans. Unbelievable! Oh, fucking Koreans, I love you so much. So this was pretty cut and dry. Pretty cut and dry. What do? They know they're running a Reinhardt, so what do? They run a Reinhardt too. Guess what? Junkrat. Best shield breaker in the game besides Bastion. But he has more mobility than Bastion, but still has the shield breaking capabilities in it. So in the long run, notice how they were fighting for position for a really long time. Hold on. So as far as like fights have been right now, like alright, so they're what is this? 31-41. So they're constantly poking for resource. Essentially what you're doing right now is you're attacking each other and you're seeing who fucks up more. The truth is when you get to the best of the best of the best of anything, it's not the more skilled player that wins. It's the player that made less mistakes. Now some people would be arguing like, oh, the guy that makes less mistakes, he's the more skilled player. No. Like, the number 1 guy can lose to the number 10 guy if the number 1 guy makes a little bit of a mistake. So what happens is when you're constantly fighting between 2 Reinhardt shields, you're just looking for someone to fuck up their resource usage. Someone somewhere to mess up. Problem is, they got a Junkrat. Means what? You're going to lose the shield war. You're on a timer. And so they're at 31-41. So this poke battle has been going on for 10 seconds. That's long for Overwatch standards as of right now. So the Reinhardt's taking more and more charges. Ana's trying to keep up with it. And then all of a sudden, bam. What happened here? They had some guys go this way and some guys go this way. So what do? They charge in and they pick a side. Look, they picked... Whoa, zoom in! Sorry about that. They charged in, they picked the left side. Junkrat goes, look, my team has control over the left side. I'm going to worry about the choke point because that's where I can output a lot of damage. Doesn't that sound a lot similar to what I've always told you guys and how I play Junkrat? Pretty much spot on. Right? Actually, in yesterday's review, I told you guys, I go, look, this Lucio that's running away, I wouldn't shoot at the Lucio as a Junkrat. I would shoot his escape route because my team have the ability to kill the guy. What I wanted to do is remove his escape route so he has a 100% chance to die. It was when someone was playing Junkrat on Dorado. I mentioned this. So that's like something that Junkrat did right there, actually. Right here. He's like, look, my team has the left handle. Don't worry about it. I'm going to pressure the choke point. Going to get the damage off. Now my team can come through, get more damage off.
한 턴에 한 턴에
끝났어요.
한 칸.
Sturgis says that's the team comp we're running and Team Chro won.
또 이제
Awesome.
뽑으니까
Awesome, you're ahead of your time.
한 번 더 봤어야 되는데.
그렇죠.
두 번은 실수.
Oh, whoa, we're way ahead.
이거 테니스?
야 진짜. 저거
것 같은데.
Okay, here we go.
이 조합도
디바가 진짜 해줘야 될 게 너무.
So now we're on to Route 66.
힐러 라인을 지켜야 될지, 뛰는 윈스턴을 지켜야 될지, 막 이렇게.
And we can see South Korea, again, running the same comp, except, look, they don't want to favor mid-range, they want to favor a little bit more long-range, so they grab a soldier. Dembani and Route 66, 100% agree. The right thing to do. I think this forward defense by South Korea is actually less about strategery and more about getting in the head of the enemy. They're like, we beat them. We took them 3 games to none. So let's just fuck with their head. Junkrat gets dove on. Things are looking, you know, whatever. I mean, this is kind of what they get for being cocky. But they're trying to dive, and South Korea is doing the best to try to stay as whole. They demech D.Va, and this is where dive comp starts to get a bit weak. If South Korea can unite their forces once again.
근데 버티고 있어요. 진정한 빠데메터인데요?
Which they do. They all come together as a team. Dive comp lost a couple pieces. Dive comp starts doing a lot worse. But then they clean up. Right? They just had a numbers disadvantage. Which is fine, because one advantage of this is that you play so far up that you need to defend once, and now you can defend a second time. The disadvantage is, well, it's not even a disadvantage, but this does allow, if they had more mobile, like, they have an option to push up to the choke point and just force some damage off there and back up slowly and just kind of force some damage off. Because you have a lot more terrain to cover. You can see how they're posturing, right? They're waiting for them to come out of the choke point. Alright, they come out of the choke point. No, nothing was had, so it was fine. This is going to be an okay defense. Junkrat gets Zenyatta. That's what the burst damage gets you. And also, I just want to point out, remember what I told you guys last night? Watch this. Watch this. This is so beautiful. Here's the cart. Junkrat wants to dominate this lane or this lane. Right? You want to dominate the lanes around the cart because they make choke points. Right here's a lane, and it's a natural choke point created by the cart. This shot is so goddamn easy for Junkrat. Like, it was set up for him. That's using the map to make a choke point where a choke point doesn't exactly exist. And just through some superior mechanical plays. Like, once they killed the Zenyatta, they kind of got the numbers advantage. They pushed the advantage forward, and now they can defend a little bit closer up. This Junkrat constantly on a flank, which is... Everyone gives me shit for flanking all the time, but this Junkrat is going to be constantly on the flank. The difference is the team is sticking around him. So he's doing the long-range stuff, right? This is what Junkrat excels at. Long-range, long-range, long-range. And now because of his burst damage, he gets the Genji. Not only that, but now he's in a complete safe place. He's probably going to ult. Yeah, he does ult. What does he do with the ult? He takes a single person out. And now they have a huge numbers advantage that they can pressure on. Looks like the Lucio kind of got stuck behind. Soldier doesn't even heal up all the way. He just gets a little bit of health from his bionic field and keeps on moving. So look, they're pressuring. I just want to. This is a very, very big thing. This is actually really goddamn important. So because this composition naturally lacks range, Soldier is like good at mid to long. Junkrat's a little bit inconsistent at long. So Kongdoo's actually doing a really good thing by dominating the far side of the map, right? They're doing this over here. Now, with enough picks, South Korea goes, you know what? We can take them. And they move as a team. I just wanted, like, everyone was with them together while they took this left flank to clear out the side of the map. And now they run back the other way together. If anyone plays on a 6 team, like a 6s, tourney style play, what they just did is one of the hardest things to do in the game. Move as one. There and then back. That little tactic there is... It really shows South Korea has some significant skill. Most people would overlook that. They say, oh, it's a simple thing done correctly, no big deal. Dude, a simple thing done correctly all the time is a big fucking deal. So again, they take the far side, which is cool. But what does Junkrat do? He punishes this small area, right? Like, you know they're going to walk right here, and it's a choke point. So he just fills the choke point. Like, look how easy this lane is. It's very, very simple. And this is the thing, you just start seeing Junkrat in lanes. Actually, I think that was a flank. I think that came from up top. But with the numbers advantage, they start diving on people. D.Va ult can't do much again, or not D.Va ult. D.Va's defensive matrix gets punished by Zarya. Let's look at that one more time. Yeah, okay, so the shot was from here off of this rock that way. I think Flower was probably just trying to jam this lane, and he just got a fortunate bounce. I mean, he may have planned that. But yeah, right there. Second one, yep. So there's the pick. And now, let's just look at the state of things. 1, 2. I can't tell. I think she's looking that way. 3. I believe someone's up there. 4, 5. This area is pretty much blues. Now, red does have a little guy stuck by himself up here. Problem is he's nano boosted. Like, here's the thing. If we just color this red, and then we have a little bit of a blue dot over here, you would go, oh, red is definitely going to, like, not even looking at the classes. Red is going to take out this blue piece, right? This blue piece is about to get surrounded, but nano boost. So this piece is now like 2 pieces. And now this looks a lot better, right? If it's 2 pieces, all right, that's more even. Now that's a lot better. So she gets nano boosted. Reinhardt still dies. But then the Zarya ult comes out to essentially help the numbers advantage. A lot of ults come out. D.Va, again, has to make the choice between defensive matrix or getting hit by Zarya. No matter what choice she makes, either she lets her team die to soldier ult, or Zarya gets charged. Pyre is just taunting him, and then pop. That was really good. And the thing is Junkrat really didn't do much. Or here's the thing. It appears Junkrat didn't do much. But the truth is that their entire game, Zen got picked and Lucio got picked before the fight even started. So this is what I mean by Junkrat's ability to break. And people are like, if you don't got gold medals, you're doing bad as Junkrat. No. A good Junkrat will get silver, copper. Bronze? Not copper, bronze. We'll get bronze medals. And if you're getting bronze medals, you're doing your job right. Why? Because Junkrat excels at doing a bit of damage. He'll take out a key resource and tip the everything in your favor, right? He's there to strip away armor or resources. So you don't, if he's getting all the kills, then your other DPS is usually lacking. But resources were forced out at long range, meaning heroes died or heroes had to use abilities. And it's hard to judge that as a skill. Right? There's no medals for that. There's none of that stuff. It just happens. This is what Junkrat does. He forces 100% like someone's in your face about to kill you from long range where he doesn't have to be committed. That subtle effect is profound. In fact, people usually don't even know it's happening in the game until it's too late. In fact, they probably didn't even know.
이번 경기에는 줌바가 너무 공격적으로 하지 않고 힐러 라인을 지켜주는 방벽을 많이 쓰면서
그렇죠.
예, 계속 포킹하는 이제 한타를
We'll keep watching.
벌어졌는데 근데 정크렛이 계속 한 명씩 잘라주니까 정신을 못 차리네요.
굉장히 달랐죠. 케인 선수 자리에
So South Korea does something.
배민 선수가 들어가서
First of all, Kongdoo's running a Junkrat themselves.
그래서
Nope, they switch.
굉장히
They switched to Genji.
위도
So
실버 메타라고 했다가 저
they're running the Junkrat still. Junkrat is decent on the first point. Because where there's big Earl sign, these are lanes. So you can easily get kills that way. But to the Widow, they're going for a pick. They're going to damage boost the Widow. They're going to try to get a pick because they know the cart only has to be pushed a little bit.
쉽사리 나오기 힘든 정말 많은 팀원들끼리의 불화설이 돌 때나 가능한 이런 조합이 나왔는데 세벨피 선수의 위도우 메이커의 완전 포킹 조합이고 그 포킹입니다.
There we go. And that's all was needed. That essentially is going to secure the point. And that right, as of right now, in fact, 10 seconds ago, as far as I'm concerned, this fight is over. This point is done. We'll watch it through, but at this point, I don't even care about analysis. The only time I'd care about analysis is if Kongdoo did something to get back from this deficit, and then I'd be like, we have to analyze this because they did something amazing.
이거 비벼야 되는데 비빌 수가 없어요.
Hubris, you're out of here? Well, peace, man.
왜 이런 조합을 가지고 나왔냐면 이기려고 한 조합이 아니라 화물 조합 자체에서 우리가 완막을 했기 때문에 입구만 밀면 되는 상황 상대방이 한두 명만 잡아내면 무조건 뚫어내는 거 알기 때문에 화물에 붙는 거 잡아내기 위해서 이런
Here we go.
절대 예능 조합 아닙니다.
That's a W.
머리를 자르 태준 안 갔으면 좋겠어요. 된다고
너라도 메카 터지면 이거
범버들이라든가
네.
범버들
라든지
This is the reviewing.
망치들이 더 빨라지고 여러분들 중력자 탈로지
This is review.
리퍼로 포커싱을 하는
That's review. That's review.
그리고 세트
트레전
That was it.
해보는 것 같은데.
So that was it. All right, cool. That was it. I don't know which more can I say. Does anyone have any questions? I kind of went over it. It's a pretty simple strategy that's just different. Essentially, Junkrat is support DPS. You want him on a flank with someone else that can help him. You use him to strip the enemy of resources and armor. In some cases, heroes, because he can burst damage. While you're doing this, if you want to play him in the back, you play him to protect your supports with Trap and Concussive Grenade. And as they encroach upon your back lines, you force out resources before they have to really use them. How should have Dive dealt with this? I don't know. The problem is that the burst from Reaper Junkrat or Reaper McCree with Zarya Reinhardt, the tools that Dive uses to stay alive gets ripped away from them. If you use Defensive Matrix, you're down a tool of doing damage, and the Ana can burst heal through it. If you don't use Defensive Matrix, Reaper, Junkrat, McCree will put whoever's in front of them into the ground. Reaper, Junkrat is insane DPS. If they land their shots, it's almost done and over. it comes down. Here's what happens. It's actually interesting. They'd have to pivot. In my mind, they need the Tracer Genji to pick up the slack that the tanks can't do. Because normally you would try to just burst the tanks down as dive comp. You try to get around them, you try to surround them and kill them. You would almost have to... What I'm thinking is a deep flank. You take Tracer Genji and you flank all the way around them, and then you attack from both sides at once. Because the most superior way to play any game is reactive. And what that means is you have to see what the enemy does, and then you react to what they give you, and then you abuse whatever decision they made. So you would have to dive in from the front with your tanks and the back with your flankers. At that point, it comes down to who makes the mistake. If the tank looks like they're weak, if the enemy stays on the tanks, then you have to kill the other people, the DPSers, the weak ones. If they try to save the DPSers, then you can maybe try to burst down the tank, but that's the only thing I can think of. The problem is dive requires short distance, and Junkrat shreds short distance, right? It makes his accuracy as close as possible to hit scan, right? You're taking a projectile and you're just making the time it takes to get to you as low as it can be. It's not hit scan at any point in time, but it's the lowest it can be, along with Reaper. So dive has to get on you. Reaper, his big issue is getting to the enemy, but if they're going to jump on you, hey, you can fix that. That issue's fixed. Do I think Junkrat's going to be picked more by sheeple? Would it be like the Korean pros? Maybe. Maybe people pick Junkrat as an actual player now. And Brownie says, nah, best way to play is proactive reactiveness. Yes, that's Brownie. Whenever I talk about keeping distance and you want to be touching someone, but that's not proactive. That's just being, you have to touch them so that they can't be doing anything tricky. The problem is dive comp specifically doesn't allow you to be like this. It stays at range and then breaks this range with abilities. The problem is if you're trying to be proactive as the other comp and you have pieces up front, the dive comp's going to dive them and kill them. So you actually can't fracture your forces and push up like that. But no, yes, reactiveness is the best way. And don't say proactive reactive. That's not true. Because it's just reactive. If I just want to touch the stick, and then I can feel whatever the stick is doing. You can't be tricky with it. It's not proactive by sticking to the stick. It's just being reactive. How does it feel to be the Vsauce of Overwatch? Am I? I don't know who Vsauce is, actually. So, yeah. Do I basically consider dive meta over? Fuck no! Dive meta is strong, guys. Dive meta has one big advantage. Ease of execution. They just have to dive on someone and kill them and start a snowball, and they will be perfectly fine. Right? If the Reinhardt dies, if the Zarya dies, if they get a pick on the DPSers, like if they get a pick on Junkrat, I think is the weakest part of this lineup. Junkrat has to play very, very well. Junkrat has to play better than the other team to survive. And that's kind of when you want to create a mismatch of. You want to create a mismatch of ease of execution and not of really classes. Like, people will be like, oh, X hero counters X hero. Fuck that. Counters don't exist. What you want to do is you want to go, look, my hero has a high, is very easy to play. And I'm not like shit-talking anyone, but they're just like, D.Va, Winston, easier to play than Junkrat. Significantly easier. D.Va and Winston will complete what they need to do more times than the Junkrat will need to do it. So you want to create this ease of execution mismatch and essentially roll the fucking dice. See who gets to play, who makes the more mistakes. Whoever makes more mistakes loses. Do I think this will be the next big meta? No, because there's a way to fight this. You just don't have to dive. You'd run another comp to fight against this Junkrat Reaper stuff. Junkrat Reaper, very weak at range. Reinhardt, Zarya, very weak at range. I think it would be weak to, I wouldn't say like a pick type lineup, but pick type lineups could always be good. Do you think that high DPS death balls will become more prominent composition in the future? Yes. Yes, I do. I think high DPS death ball is definitely a thing that can work. The problem is it lacks mobility and it lacks high ground or vertical scalability significantly with the tanks. You want to abuse death ball. You want to abuse mobility. You want to abuse the map. You want to abuse if anyone's out of formation. So that's what I believe there. Lupus, you're out? All right, good night, man. Thanks for stopping by. Did I miss any subs or anything? I wouldn't say dive is ending, but people have thought... Here's the thing. If no one ever played Junkrat, no one would ever figure this out. But DPS players may have to play a little bit riskier to counter this. You're correct, I would say. Some people don't go Torb against Tracer Genji. So Bloodrun says, how come people don't go Torb against Tracer Genji? Because Torb, his sentry is 0 mobility. And once you take the sentry down, Torb is in a weaker than most players. Genji doesn't suffer from fall-off damage. If they have another long-range class, it's going to be easy to take out the turret. If they don't, and they have a shield in front of it, then they have to commit a lot of resources to the turret, which makes their formation even less mobile, right? Now you're not just saying the Torb's immobile, but now you're saying they need the tank to sit with the Torb. So now 2 players are immobile, and someone has to support them, so now the support's immobile. It really, like... The problem is if you have a really strong structure, it can't move. Right? And then we have the opposite, which is like dive, where it's like all mobility, all ability usage. You know, they both work against each other more or less, but mobility gives you faster respawn, like from respawn. It gives you the ability to choose when to kill. It gives you the ability to change your action, like change what you need to kill. It's quite dynamic. Dive's really, really strong. And to make the DPSers, Junkrat and Reaper, constantly hit their hits, like that's... They have good players on these people for a reason. I don't think this is for the faint of heart. Junkrats could fuck this up very easily. And then Petgrin says, besides dive, what else could they run and beat it? They tried a mirror match, but that didn't work very well. Yeah, because that's... If you do a mirror matchup, you're going skill for skill and you're just head on. If you're less skilled, don't go for the mirror matchup unless you have some secret tactics. What would be the best answer against this the burst lineup? You have to, like I said, you have to abuse its mobility or its lack of mobility and its lack of long range. Hanzo would actually be, I think, an answer. Pharah could be an answer, but I think you would have to go PharMercy. The problem is Pharah's really bad at busting Reinhardt's shield. You could run a Widow, but there's the shield. You'd have to use the Widow to suppress the space, force him into a corner, and then fight him from there. They're also bad at mid range if you do Reaper, Junkrat, but you can substitute these guys as McCree or a Soldier, and you have a very, very strong DPS duo. I mean, it is a form of 2-2-2. I mean, it's interesting. At least we're talking about it. It's like the fact that we're having this discussion is great. On the PTR, they're allowing Hog to heal and take 50% less damage when he's healing. Is that